All right, we got to start our genetics unit. In genetics, our I can statement is probably the simplest I can statement that I've had all year. I look around and they're all like paragraphs on the top of all of these. This one's pretty simple. And you'll realize how simple it is today. I can identify and describe inherited traits, acquired traits, and learned behaviors. So 3 key things: inherited traits, acquired traits, and learned behaviors. Now, this is going to be different for me, but we're going to try this out. This is what's on our anchor chart. I can't assume that we know what genetics is. Genetics is the study of how traits are inherited. Now, that's a fantastic definition, except it does a couple of things to us here. It puts the word traits and inherited, which are 2 more vocabulary words, in one sentence. So I feel it's also important for me to define traits and inherited. And this would be very important for you to put into your notebooks. Traits and inherited. Whoa, that is not what I meant to do. I have to fix that one. All right. Traits. Are characteristics of an organism such as eye, skin, or fur color, and we'll just leave it at that. That's some good examples of traits. So genetics, the study of characteristics such as eye color, skin color, height, size of an organism, the study of these things and how they are inherited. Inherited is received through genetic transmission. What that means is it was passed down from your parents. Things that are passed down to us from our parents. These inherited traits. Our eye color, our skin color, dimples, freckles, our height, widow's peak, which we'll learn about soon. Detached and attached earlobes, which we will learn about soon. All right, so I need you to think about this, and I need you to kind of describe yourself with about 5 to 10 characteristics. And I'll pause the video while we're doing that. Now, if it's been like the rest of the classes, when people are describing themselves, you have this thing where you're kind of hitting or missing on some of the things that we're going to talk about here soon. A lot of people, they put down, like, I'm funny and I'm good at sports. And those are important things about yourself. And then some people have said things like, I have brown hair, black hair, blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes, blonde hair, I'm short, I'm tall, those kind of things. And those are the things that I want to talk about first. I want to talk more about inherited traits. Inherited traits. Inherited traits are things that get passed down from parents to their offspring. You're going to hear the word offspring a lot. Offspring are the same thing as like your kids or the things that your babies. The first generation of babies that you have. And it's something that's physical about you. So here are a list of some inherited traits. If you wrote down eye color, skin color, hair color, curly hair, straight hair, and we're going to get into that a little bit more in the video. Dimples. Now, if you don't know what a dimple is, take a look at LL Cool J, the man that is probably most famous for his dimples. This giant indentation on his face is not like an abnormality. That is called a dimple. And some of us in this room have dimples. Some of us in this room, when we smile, do not have dimples. I look around the room. Yes, you definitely have dimples. I can see them from here. That little crease just in your smile is just a crease. That's not a dimple. It comes further out around your cheek area. Okay, we can look at that in a little bit. Freckles. We all know what freckles are. How height, like you're tall or short you are. Now, there's two things on here I need to talk about that we may not be 100% familiar with. Detached earlobes, attached earlobes, and widow's peak. Some of us in here might not know what those are, so let's take a look at that. This is what attached versus detached earlobes look like. Now, attached versus detached, as I walked around the room and we looked at our earlobes, that's a fairly easy thing to remember because it actually has the word earlobe in there, and you know it has to do with the ear. Now, widow's peak is a little different. If you've never heard about it, you have no clue what it is. Now, originally when I would hear widow's peak, I thought about this guy from a show called The Munsters. And if you look at this giant V in the front of his head, which is obviously not real, that was fake, but that's a perfect example of what a widow's peak looked like. But I was very kind and did not put this ugly guy on there. I went a little nicer looking, and I went with this widow's peak.
Yes.
A V-shape's awesome. That's going to be on YouTube, by the way. We won't say who yelled out yes, but that was pretty funny. Anyway, if you notice this V shape in the front.
He's way out of my league.
This is where kids get silly. If you're laughing now, you're really going to laugh in a few minutes. Anyway, this V shape. Now, if you've never heard of it before, you've never seen it, and I put widow's peak on a test, you would not get it correct. You're like, I have a clue what that is. Now we all know that a widow's peak is an inherited trait, and we know what it looks like.